difficult to say. I mean, they've obviously said that they want to carry out more investigations. They're currently conducting a search of the properties. So this was an exercise in making sure that he'd been arrested, that he was able to be interviewed under caution, and they could continue to search for more evidence and to find if there has been any wrongdoing. But it's still an extraordinary situation. He's back at Sandringham on the royal estate.
They say when it rains, it pours, but for Sarah Ferguson, it is currently a Category 5 hurricane with no umbrella inside. While the world is still picking up its jaw from the floor after the monumental arrest of Andrew Mumbai in Windsor on his 66th birthday, his former happiest divorced wife is playing a very high stake game of corporate treacheries. As Andrew was being chauffeured in an unmarked police car for 11 hours of questioning regarding misconduct in public office, Sarah was busy filing paperwork to dissolve yet another part of her empire. We're talking about a total of 7 companies being struck off the register in a single week. It is not just a restructuring, it's a tactical retreat of such magnitude that it has historians looking through the archives for anything similar. With Andrew's release under investigation and Sarah reportedly lying low in the Middle East, the House of York is not just in trouble, it is being dismantled brick by legislative brick. Quick favor, if you are loving this, hit that subscribe button. Over 92% of viewers haven't yet. It is free, takes a second, and means the absolute world to us. Thank you if you just did. Now, back to the show.
On the royal estate, and we'll just have to see what the next development is. It seems to be a very fast-moving story.
And we see Andrew and his ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson. They were living together until the royal family made a move last year. No one is sure where she is right now. Why haven't we seen her, and how is she taking all of this?
Well, I was in contact with her actually about October time, and she was pretty devastated. She felt that the world was, they were out for blood, but that was before this latest tranche of emails that appeared, which seems to be very damning for her. She's gone to ground. Nobody really knows where she is, apart from a few close friends. And she's not really coming out and making any statement at all via her people. But you know, the reality is her side of things is slightly different to Andrew. You know, she took money from a financier. That seems to be the case. Andrew was, on this instance, was serving as an envoy for the government.
Let us dive into the sheer speed of this corporate collapse. At the start of this week, just as the Epstein files were sending shocking waves through the palace, Sarah Ferguson applied to have 6 of her companies struck off the company house register. We're talking about La Luna Investment Limited, Planet Partner Production Limited, S Phoenix Events Limited, Fergus Farm Limited, Philanthropreneur Limited, and Salomon Limited. Then, like a cinematic encore no one asked for, the 7th company, called Company Production Limited, was added to the to be dissolved list today. Now, why does this matter? Well, in the world of business, dissolving companies this fast is the corporate equivalent of burning your old diaries before the police arrive with a search warrant. Cold Company Production Limited was the firm behind her 2024 film An American in Austin, where she had a cameo as the Duchess. But the latest balance sheet shows a depressing truth. The business recorded a loss of £1,101 in 2025. When your Duchess lifestyle is bleeding cash and your ex-husband is in a police cell, keeping the lights on at a loss-making production company is probably the last thing on your mind. It is a broke life revelation that proves that behind the royal divorcee title, the bank account has been sounding the alarms for a very long time.
Andrew, he's such a good man. He's a kind, good man.
Always a source of support, Sarah stood by her ex-husband in 2023 on Good Morning Britain as Andrew faced fallout for his connection to Epstein.
The timing of this company bonfire is anything but accidental. The recent release of millions of documents by the US authorities, the so-called Epstein files, has cast a very dark shadow over Sarah's financial history. In documents released just last month, Sarah appears to have been much more closer to Jeffrey Epstein than she previously admitted. We're talking about emails from 2010, where she reportedly tells the convicted sex offender, "I am at your service, just marry me." She was reportedly begging for advice on how to handle millions of dollars in debt while Epstein was already registered a sex offender. The analogy here is like a captain trying to steer a sinking ship by asking a pirate for a loan. These companies she is dissolving were likely remnant of those philanthropreneur days, a word she literally coined to describe her mix of charity and business. But with 7 charities already dropping her as a patron this month, her own charity, Sarah's Trust, closing for the foreseeable future, the philanthropreneur dream has turned into a PR nightmare. The companies are being shut down because the brand they are attached to has become radioactive.
Ferguson has been labelled desperate and a degenerate in the latest installment of the Epstein files, with emails between her and Jeffrey Epstein revealing she was regularly chasing money and attention from the convicted pedophile.
While Sarah was filing dissolution papers, her ex-husband was having the worst 66th birthday in recorded history. On Thursday, February 19, 2026, Thames Valley Police descended in Wood Farm, the mother's cottage in the Sandringham estate, where Andrew was forced to move after being evicted from Royal Lodge. They spent over 10 hours searching his residence and questioning him on suspicion of misconduct in public office. The charges related to allegations that he shared confidential UK trade information with Epstein between 2021 and 2011. The King's response was swift and surgically precise. Charles issued a statement stating his deepest concern and emphasizing that the law must take its course. Notice the lack of word brother or family. It was a cold institutional dismissal. As Andrew returned to Wood Farm looking shell-shocked, Sarah was nowhere to be seen. She has not broken cover, and her whereabouts remains a mystery. While some say she is in the French Alps, the most credible reports suggest she is currently in the United Arab Emirates, lying low with her daughter, Princess Eugenia. It is a broke life on the run from the paparazzi, the police, and a reputation that is currently.
And she was pleading, she was broke, and she was pleading for him for a job. This was at a time when Epstein was under house arrest. So, I mean, the optics, I mean, she was completely desperate. As for her ex-husband, increasing problems. So we now have a police task force looking into whether they want to open like a massive investigation. But whenever you've got a police task force, that's.
The broke life of Sarah Ferguson isn't just about dissolving dormant companies. It is about the total collapse of her earning potential. Just last autumn, following the stripping of her royal divorcee title, the publication of her new book was cancelled, and thousands of copies were reportedly pulped. Why? Because the Duchess of York was no longer a sellable asset, she was a liability. A source told the Mail that Sarah is desperate to get out there and start earning money again. But her brand is toxic. Her only real hope of financial windfall would be a tell-all book about how the family's friendship with Epstein destroyed everything. But she has reportedly ruled that out. Why would she roll out a multi-million-pound book deal when she is closing her farm and event companies? Perhaps because, as the legal experts suggested, she might end up having to tell the same story to the Thames Valley Police as a witness in Andrew's misconduct case. You cannot sell a story to a publisher that you owe to the Crown's prosecution service.
As former Prince Andrew faces potential imprisonment, there's no sign of his ex-wife.
Why haven't we seen her, and how is she taking all of this?
According to reports, Fergie is laying low on the other side of the world in the United Arab Emirates.
She packed her bags and started to go visit friends all over the world, and she's.
As we look towards the rest of February 2026, the situation of the Yorks is becoming increasingly desperate. Sarah had to exit Royal Lodge alongside Andrew earlier this month, ending a bizarre living arrangement that lasted nearly 20 years. Now, with Andrew's release under investigation and his daughters, Beatrice and Eugenie, reportedly in tears over the catastrophe, the family is fragmented. The Broke Life of Sarah Ferguson is a story of a woman who tried to maintain a royal lifestyle on a privatized budget, and the bills have finally come due. Every company dissolved is a door closed on her past. Every police search at Wood Farm is a window open into her secrets. The king is focused on his duty and service to the public, and he has made it clear that the York stain will not be allowed to smear the rest of the family. Sarah may be in the UAE today, but as the police investigation into Andrew's misconduct widens, the question isn't just where is Sarah, but
That's her lifestyle.
Fergie is probably legally in the clear, but when it comes to public perception,
in the final analysis, the broke life we are witnessing is the inevitable conclusion of decades of unwise associations. Sarah Ferguson's 7-company dissolution in a week is the final white flag of surrender. The happiest divorced couple is now the most investigated ex-couple, and the 31-room mansion of Royal Lodge has been replaced by the quiet, rainy isolation of Wood Farm and the distant limbo of Dubai. The law is taking its course, just as the king promised, and that course is leading directly through the balance sheet and email servers of Sarah Ferguson. She may have been the Duchess in her 2024 cameo, but in the real world of 2026, she is just Sarah Margaret Ferguson, a woman watching her empire evaporate while her ex-husband waits for the next knock on the door. It is a fast-paced fall from grace that proves that, in the modern monarchy, secrets are the most expensive debts of all. Thank you for watching.